Very, excuse me, very happy Tuesday, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is March 31st of 2026. Hope everyone's having themselves a good day. Gotta excuse me. Just snacking on some peanuts before heading on to this live broadcast. I want to apologize for my absence at noon, and I have a very good reasoning behind it. And I'll tell you why. Um, you know, I don't want to sit here and talk negative about any company, about any of my streaming platforms or whatnot. But with all due respect, it is a little bit frustrating when you pay for a subscription and they have issues with the studios. It's not a fancy dynamic studio, and you have to really get an expensive subscription in order to do a lot. Like, I have the text overlays. These overlays that you see here is something that comes with a plan, and they provide it. It's great and all, but I can't add my overlays until I get a bigger subscription. That's going to cost me $50, $60 out the door. And so this is just a little bit ranting, and I don't want Riverside to take it personal. I'm not trying to say that this is a bad studio. I like everything that Riverside features. But when livelihood depends you to go live at a certain time, excuse me, and it depends for you to pull AI clips and to get the footage that is supposed to be broken down, that Riverside options for you to, offers you in the subscription that you pay for on a monthly basis, then you expect it to work functionally. And I understand if my computer, my internet service goes out, that's on me. I do understand that it may take a little bit of time for the magic clips to appear. That's understandable. But these simple services for recording or even live streaming are essential to be here when given the subscription. And so I come on here today. I'm an hour late, not undermining anything else I have to do today. Thank goodness I have the ability to come on here an hour later and still host a podcast so I could keep up with my routine, because I got sports I want to talk about with you today. But I'm a little bit irate to begin the show because Riverside decided that they didn't want to work. Riverside didn't want to work an hour or two ago, therefore I couldn't go live at noon, disappointing my viewers, disappointing the whole 2 to 3 people that want to tune in live and watch me. But no fear to Riverside, because this only happens ever so often. The issues only happen maybe every couple of days or every once or twice a week. And and when you go out there and you try to excuse me, it's all the peanuts I eat. When you go out there and you try to make a living off of this, and then you try to reach out to customer service to figure out what's going on, they say, "Oh, subscribe to our information, and you'll get emails." And you don't get an email about it. What are we doing here? These are the moments that in your competitors look better, because I've never had this issue with StreamYard. But I try to stick with Riverside. They better pricing. They got more AI clips that you could use. And trust me, AI clips are essential. I mean, it's trying to weigh apples and oranges here. So pardon me if I'm a little bit upset in today's episode. We're going to turn things around right away because I want to get down into sports because the Reds deserve their attention. They beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-0. They gave their first team a shutout in the game one. This is going to be 33 consecutive home series that the Reds have avoided a sweep. So if we want to get hyped up, we want to yell, we want to get at it, let's talk about those Cincinnati Reds beating up on those Pittsburgh Pirates. It wasn't nothing special. Matter of fact, it was all done due to defensive ability thanks to Chase Burns. And when I go back and I think about this game, and I think about, well, what were we worried about heading into this series? Well, nonchalantly, I was worried about the back end of this rotation. I'm worried about Brandon Williamson, about Chase Burns, about Rhett Lauder, and their performances because spring training didn't give us the performance we wanted. I get worried about, well, are they going to deliver? And when I say deliver, I want them to go in 5-6 innings, understanding that they're going to give up runs, they're going to give up hits, allow our defense to put in the work, to put in the effort that they need to put into. But in the back of my mind, I get worried about our performance in the rotation. Last night, I learned that Emilio Pagan, Caleb Ferguson, and Pierce Johnson were scratched from the bullpen. Doesn't that make you a little concerning? And a lot of it had to do because of last year, their workload exceeded the limit. And so Terry Francona, which I appreciate taking that chance, comes into this game saying we are going to rest. And if we're going to win, we're going to have to do with the guys that did not play the last 2 days in a row. And I want to tip my hat to this game this early on because yesterday we emphasized the importance of winning games that we should win. We emphasized winning series that we should win. And this early in the season, for all the offseason moves that Pittsburgh has made with Brandon Lowe, Ryan O'Hearn, guys like that, we emphasize the importance of beating the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, given we have 2 games left in this series, we got Brandon Williamson out on the mound tonight. He's going up against Bubba Chandler. And then we'll have to deal with Paul Skeens on Wednesday with Andrew Abbott, I believe. But the importance is still set. Taking that first game puts us in a better position for tonight and tomorrow to walk away with the series win. And wouldn't that be something special? We know one thing is certain. We're not going to lose this home stance. Right? You talk about little goals and little achievements that you can pin up throughout the course of the year. Well, one, we're on a 3-game winning streak, so that's one thing you could check off. 2, we won already a series against the Red Sox. You could check that off the list. 3, we beat 1 game against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're going to guarantee a finish on the homestands with at least 3-3 record, if not better. Check that off the list. So coming into a Tuesday, you want to be happy about something. Let's be happy that the Pirates lost to the Reds. Let's be happy that Chase Burns, he pitched 5 innings, giving up 1 hit, no runs. He walked 3 batters, struck out 7. And yes, that is a fair concern that we should want to pay attention to and address. Something that I hope that he improves over the next month and a half. But he picked up his first victory on the major league level. Connor Phillips came in, pitched an inning, closed out the ball game, walked 2 batters, got himself into a little jam, but pulled away and picked up his first major league career save. And it's a win-win. Graham Ashcraft stepped up. I think he pitched 2 innings in yesterday's ball game. Like I said, offensively, didn't really do anything out there. And really, the biggest play out there was in the top of the fourth, or bottom of the fourth inning, with Will Benson triples and scoring in Gino Suarez from first to home. But the Reds moved to 3-1. The Pirates moved to 1-3. We're back at it again. 6:40 first pitch, available on Reds TV, or you can listen to WLW 700. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about the Reds' victory. I'm excited about the progression that the WWE has made leading into WrestleMania, as we're now just 18 days away. But boy, defensively, we pull through. On our pitching perspective, we pull through. And I'm excited to see about that. You know, one thing I've asked myself thus far was, well, are we worried after the first series where, yeah, we saw Gino hit the long ball up to the second deck back on Sunday. We saw Ellie De La Cruz hit a home run back on Saturday. Are we worried about the production early on here in the season? The lack thereof from Ellie De La Cruz and Gino Suarez. I mean, isn't this the reason why we picked up Gino during the offseason? Was to be this power at bat, and yet we've only seen 1 home run. He's kind of been grounding out. He definitely has given his fair shares of strikeout early on. But, and I was thinking to myself about this question, and I had to answer it to myself, and I'm like, no, not when Sal Stewart's batting above 700. Not when Sal Stewart and these other kids, Will Benson's progressing. I mean, they're not magical numbers. Matt McClain as well. I mean, that's what I love about this organization. That's what I'm looking forward to in seeing. And I feel like if we clean just a few things up, given the next couple of series, and we finish off a strong April, the fact that we don't have Caleb Ferguson, he's out on the IL. The fact that we don't have Hunter Green, he's out until July. The fact that we could get away without using Pagan and Tony Santillan and Pierce Johnson, and the fact that we don't have to use those guys in every series, so we could take the workload off of them and we could still win ball games, isn't that not good enough? I thought that's phenomenal. Thought that was phenomenal. Down on the farm, actually, we'll take a look at the National League Central. Every team played yesterday. Angels losing to the Cubs 7-2 at Wrigley Field. Milwaukee was at home. St. Louis was at home. The Brewers and the Cardinals both lost their games. Rays beat the Brewers 3-2. Mets beat the Cardinals 4-2, picking up their losses. Angels back at it again tonight against the Cubs. Both Angels come in with a 2-3 record. Cubs enter in with a 2-2 record. That first pitch is at 7:40. At 7:40 tonight, the Rays, a 2-2 record, come into play against Milwaukee, who gave them their first loss of the season last night. 3-1 is Milwaukee's record heading into this game. And at 7:45, the 3-1 Mets take on the 2-2 Cardinals. And so the division is in full swings playing. Down on the farm, we can anticipate Iowa's Cubs are in town in Louisville to take on the Louisville Bats in a 6-game series. This is what AAA has to offer. First pitch tonight is 6:35, and this is first of 6. Tomorrow is a daytime game. This is all pending weather, by the way. Iowa comes into play with a 1-2 record. They've thrown out left-handed pitcher Riley Martin on the mound, and these are the Cubs affiliates. Louisville, who swept the Omaha State Stormtroopers over the weekend, they enter play undefeated. They send out left-handed pitcher Brandon Lebrant on the mound. Louisville, it will be taking place at the Louisville Slugger Field in Louisville, Kentucky. You can watch the game on Bally Sports Live or MILB TV. You can check out their website for more information. Around the college horn, we see the Wright State Raiders coming into town tonight at the UC Baseball Stadium here in downtown Cincinnati. Today is Discount Tuesdays, and it's also Greek Night, available on ESPN Plus. You could check out Bearcats baseball, first pitch at 7 p.m. White State Raiders come into play with a 11-13 record, 5-1 in conference. They're on a one-game losing streak. They are 4-9 on the road. The Bearcats enter in with a 20-10 record with a 2-game losing streak. They are 11-4 at home. Right-handed pitcher Dylan Shedler will take the mound tonight for the Bearcats. This is his 6th start on this season. He's only gone 2 2/3 of an inning in all his outings, so we're looking for a better improvement tonight. Quentin Coates looks for his 20th home run on the season. Hopefully he can get that out today as the Bearcats wrap up a home series before they head out to Oklahoma State for a 3-game series this weekend in Big 12 Conference. The Bearcats' only third home series loss against Kansas over the weekend under Jordan Biscoe's era. With the 316 Bearcats hits, they're ranked 6th nationally and 2nd in the Big 12 behind Texas Tech. You check that game on ESPN Plus. All right, let's take a look at what is going around here in Cincinnati or in sports today. We actually have a couple of baseball news coming our way. Cal Raleigh, big name, big catcher from the Seattle Mariners, just last year, comes in and although he didn't start in last night's game against the Yankees, he finished things off in walk-off fashion. Cal Raleigh walks things off in the 9th inning to help the Mariners beat the Yankees in a final score of 2-1. The 9th inning started off with Leo Rivas, who singled. Brandon Donovan also singled following Rivas. Rivas went from first to third, and Cal Raleigh singles off of Paul Blackburn past the diving first baseman Ben Rice to right field. Scoring in Rivas, Yankees received their first loss on the season thanks to Cal Raleigh. The Giants, Torey Tavello, picked up his first major league career as a manager's victory as the Giants beat the Padres with the final score 3-2. Got out to an early lead, went down to the bottom of the 9th inning, got a couple runs scored, but the Padres couldn't prevail. Tony Vitello, first career win as a manager. San Francisco also avoiding losing their first 4 games of the season since moving to San Francisco in 1958. Right-handed pitcher Cody Ponce from the Toronto Blue Jays was also carted off after his first Major League Baseball appearance since 2021. As retrieving a ball on the right field side of the infield, looks like he hyperextended his right knee, and fell down to the ground in right field. He was carted off the field and looks to have an MRI of his right knee. Hopefully we will report upcoming results, and hopefully it's nothing too significant in sense. Well, we have some developing news coming your way. This is regarding to opening day for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, I love opening day. I think Cincinnati has one, if not the best, opening day with the Findlay Market, the celebration. You got the banks. You have uh, the Rhine. You have out there on the levee. Also, it's just it's a fun celebration from start to finish. It could get very crowded. You got alcohol involved. It's never a good sign when it comes down to these things. And so I, as much as I like to go and partake in the festivities, it becomes deceiving when you hear stories about things that take place that becomes too much chaotic. Now, there was stories that broke the news on, during the night about riots and whatnot. Well, an updated article was given about all that. I just wanted to share with you. I wanted to let things kind of just settle in before I took place and said anything. Well, opening day celebration in the city, Cincinnati's, there were fights, arrests, and police resistance. Hordes of people were flooded the streets of downtown Cincinnati following the Reds opening day baseball. This game, as chaos unfolded outside the stadium Thursday night, Cincinnati police and said incidents of disorder and violence occurred Thursday evening as large crowds gathered in entertainment distractions, including the banks, a popular area near Great American Ballpark. Floods of the people were seen blocking traffic and chaos took over. Of officers responded to multiple fights where there were times met with resistance from people in the crowd, according to authorities. Police used loudspeakers to order crowds in despair and called in additional resources to help restore order. Officials said several arrests were made through the exact number of potential charges were not immediately released. Fox News Digital has reached out to Cincinnati Police Department for additional details. Look, here's one thing I wanted to say based off of that information. And that is, I love what Cincinnati represents for opening day. I do not love nor understand the riot. I do not love nor understand the chaos, the fights that break out. I get it. It's Boston. Probably would be similar to if the Cardinals were in town or the Cubs but this is supposed to be a fun, inviting time for friends, for families, for people to go out and enjoy the one thing this city really has to offer other than the Cincinnati Bengals. There's so much great things that take place in the city of Cincinnati, and yet Thursday, opening day, was tarnished. Could have been focused. It's already bad enough that the Reds lost, but it's another thing when you hear about disorderly conducts, resistance, chaos, riots, police arrest, and traffic. I mean, it's a busy area. I get it. It's a great venue for money making. I get it. But at the same time, why or how should I want to bring my kids out to a sporting event, to the Reds baseball? It's already bad enough on a casual day to take your kids out to downtown. There's not a lot of great navigation through the streets to get. There's not a lot of also parking. Parking's expensive. We usually park either underneath the stadium or out there by Heritage Bank Arena. Walk over and then try to enjoy ourselves in hot humidity. It's packed. And then try to come home and fight that crowd. There's already enough to handle. But such a rich tradition, such a rich history. And we have to deal with chaos. We have to deal with disruption. And we can't just enjoy the game that we love. It upsets me a lot. I don't know about you, but I am livid to hear a story like this. If I was thinking about taking my kids out to Great American Ballpark opening day next year, that's off the table because this very moment, this very incident, come on, we can do better. And we should do better. We got to hold ourselves accountable for doing better because that's not what Cincinnati's about. And I can guarantee you stories like this get sent out across the world, across the country, and everybody else is going to hear the mediocrity that we represent ourselves in this fashion, regardless of a win or a loss. Very, very disappointing. I will have let's change the narrative here and change the topic. The other sports news and stories, it was announced yesterday that the Super Bowl 63 in 2029 will be going back and returning to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, Super Bowl was already held at Allegiant Stadium just a few years back. Super Bowl 58 in 2024. Okay. On February 2nd, Kansas City Chiefs beat the 49ers. 25-22 was the final score. The venue has been such a success that they were going back in 3 years. So next year, Super Bowl 61 will be held at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. In 2028, you have the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And in 2029, Super Bowl 63, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have come to the conclusion or to the statement that I think Super Bowl need to be conducted at a very selective amount of sites. And what I mean by that is indoors, preferably the West Coast. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, to me because the time doesn't change. But it needs to be held in indoors area. We should not ever have an issue moving forward whether or not Super Bowl should be held outdoors or if we have any weather conflictions. Now, that means there's a lot of stadiums out there. Paycor Stadium, one of them, that Super Bowl will never attend to, that the city will never get a Super Bowl. But let's figure it out. Texas is a great place to have a Super Bowl. Arlington or Houston. It doesn't matter. The Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium or the NRG Stadium should be marked on the list. California and Las Vegas, whether we like them or not, they are a attraction. The fact that they have indoor ability makes it all best for a Super Bowl to take place and be hosted. You stay away from Miami. You stay away from New York. You stay in the locations where it's indoors, so weather is great to attend. You host it in a city that has space to host it because people are traveling across the world, and you stick with the locations that you may have. I don't want to see it out in New York at MetLife Stadium in February if it snows. I don't want to have a rainy day. I think more and more stadiums are adapting and having enclosed venues. Not necessarily saying I'm a fan of it, but it's an adapt or change. You get a new stadium, you advertise yourself a Super Bowl, and that's what you make money off of it. And so I'm okay. Mercedes-Benz, I think that we need to, in hindsight, we kind of need to maybe reevaluate some things based off of that, but nonetheless, that is what's going on in our sports world. Alrighty, we have some takeaways that I would like to share with you before we talk about Monday Night Raw for baseball this opening week or this past opening weekend. Okay. And a couple of things drew my attention that I want to share with you. So, we're going to start off by saying that the ABS is here. That's the first and foremost takeaway that I saw over the weekend. 47 games took place from Thursday through Sunday. Out of those 47 games, 175 ABS challenges were called. That's averaging 3.7 per game. That is practically a whole challenge per game compared to spring. And the first thing that I think of this is that, well, spring, you have a little bit more leniency. Spring, you are filling out how those ABS challenges are working, and some pitchers are going to take advantage. Heading into the regular season, there is a strategy that comes into play when using ABS challenges. Not every batter should be using ABS challenges at their will. You only get 2 at the moment. Maybe that number gets redefined. But, we have to consider between catchers on defense and between batters on offense, when is it an appropriate time to use it? Well, you also need to know how your catchers work in the strike zone. Now, I've always been the one who favors an umpire who widens the strike zone on an 0-2 count. I'm always the one who favors a tightening of the strike zone to a batter on a 3-0 count. But that's going to be taken away. Now, do you expect umpires to be able to change and tighten that up when they've been practicing that their entire careers? I don't think so, but that's why the challenges are available. From Thursday through Sunday, hitters were 33 for 78. Fielders were 69 through 97. It was a total of 94 challenges, or 94 overturned challenges to 175 challenges total. For hitters, that's a 42%. For fielders, that's a 63%. And for a total, that's about a 54%. Well, who else knows the strike zone better than the catcher? ABS is here. It's only going to be here for ongoing terms. It's time to get used to it. Number 2, rookie class is delivering. We saw a lot of great rookies make their way this opening weekend. Kevin McGonigal, top prospect, coming out of Detroit, made his opening day debut, went 4 for 5 on opening day. Carson Benj hit a home run in his opening weekend. J.J. Witherhold had a home run on opening day, a walk-off on game 2 with the Cardinals. Chase DeLauder for the Guardians hit 4 home runs in 4 games. Let's talk about our Sal Stewart. 7 for 10, 3 doubles, a home run, 3 walks, and no strikeouts. You have Monataka Murakami, right? Pitcher. First White Sox to hit a home run in the first 3 games of their career. These are the rookie classes that we have high expectations of, and they're performing. Great stuff to see. The Dodgers are invincible. Spotted Arizona 2 runs, all to come back and win all 3 games. Tony Vitello learning the curve, right? We've understand this. Tony, a college manager, baseball manager, making his debut as a Major League Baseball manager. It's going to be a different atmosphere. We know that. We understand that. Set the Giants franchise record with 20 scoreless innings. We're going to have to learn the hard way, aren't we? Mets have defensive issues. They're playing out of position. Bo Bichette at third, Jorge Polanco at first, and it's shown that they have some issues. And so the Mets are going to have to, although they have the talent, they're going to have to figure out their way to get back to the winning records, compared to last year. Mike Trout, he's in a resurgence. 6 for 13, 2 home runs, a stolen base, 7 walks over the weekend against Houston. Claims that center field is less demanding. And the importance of Mike Trout is to stay healthy, is to become, and the healthier he is, the chances of him being on the main roster, the roster, better. And when every time he's in that lineup, he gives his ball club a chance to win. So, if he stays healthy, these performances are all-star caliber performances. The AL East is the AL beast. Toronto, New York going 3-0. Blue Jays, right? Making franchise records against the Athletics with 50 strikeouts. Was the only division over the weekend without a negative in run differentials. And last but not least, rebuilding a better team is expected. Washington went 2 for 3 at Wrigley. Miami swept Colorado. St. Louis put up 6 runs in 1 inning. And these are teams that don't have a lot of expectations. I wouldn't categorize Miami or Colorado rebuilding. I would categorize St. Louis because they're still on the teardown process. But it tells me that you don't have to have that the young mindset of rebuilding or building up a team, you don't have to look far. You just find success out there early on the season with the teams like Rockies or like the Miami and like Washington. These are teams that don't expect to go anywhere to get off to a good start. So those are my takeaways from opening weekend. I have an extra day to think about that. I'd like to know what you guys are thinking. Let me know down in the comments below. Before we get into our next segment, I want to go ahead and just give a shout out. I know at the beginning of the program, we were maybe a little bit upset with hold on one second. I know I was a little upset and heated about Riverside being down. Like I said, it's a frustration thing for me, and but I still use Riverside. And if you're a podcast, maybe the demand of an everyday noon to 1 show is not in your cup of tea, and that's fine. That's what podcasting's for. Riverside has the options to create things and all that stuff. So check out riverside.com as well. Also, MLB The Show 26 is out. We officially released and published our first Road to the Show series earlier this morning over on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. We encourage you to check that out. Just follow along. We're also playing MLB The Show franchise mode where we play as the Cincinnati Reds, and we are providing marquee matchup games. We have a whole bunch of games coming your way this weekend that we felt was going to be important. Starting on Friday, the Guardians have their home opener against the Cubs. First pitch at 1 o'clock. On Saturday, you'll either see the New York Mets take on the San Francisco Giants or the San Diego Padres take on the Boston Red Sox at 4 o'clock. Depending, that will be a day game, daytime change. And then last but not least, the Cardinals taking on the Tigers at 7:20 on Sunday Night Baseball. That is all available on CPU versus CPU simulation on our TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You could also check out the Reds on our franchise mode as we take on the Texas Rangers in a 3-game series. MLB The Show 26 is available now. Get your game today. Also, check out WWE 2K26. The big conversation we're getting into next is Monday Night Raw recap, play, and relive your favorite moments in the WWE. New updated rosters and animations, showcase mode where you can revisit the career of CM Punk and even have the ability to rewrite history as he goes through his career and the matches that made him relevant. Join Universe mode and so much more through WWE 2K26 available now. Well, Monday Night Raw. Boy, where do I begin? I want to begin with Cody Rhodes. I want to begin with Stephanie McMahon coming out and claiming that she's someone to speak to Cody Rhodes to try to talk some sense into him. Cody Rhodes has only experienced this Viper very, very early in his career. Cody is built around where he doesn't have many friends in the WWE. Maybe he has people who respect him, but he doesn't have anyone that he can turn to honestly say, I have your back through and through. I don't think he has many people outside the WWE. He's this lone ranger trying to write history and create a legacy for himself and leave an impact on his family's name. But now he has to come face to face with arguably the guy, the legend killer, the Viper himself, the voices inside his head, Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And if it makes matters worse, it's going to be locked inside a hell in a cell. It's something that Cody Rhodes has never encountered before, at least on the opposite side of the ring. And so the question is Cody Rhodes ready for it? And how does he mentally prepare for it? Maybe, just maybe, Cody Rhodes has dug too deep. Well, Stephanie McMahon went out there attempting to reason with Cody, getting him to realize what he's about to get into at WrestleMania 42, trying to pre-warn Cody about what this type of Randy Orton's capable of doing. And Cody Rhodes responds back. And in the result of that, he gets slapped by Stephanie McMahon. And I like this. Look, as much as I'm not a fan of Randy Orton being the heel guy of this, as much as I'm not a fan of Cody Rhodes having the WWE Championship on the line, or even having the WWE Championship at all, this match becomes personal. This match becomes mentor versus trainee. And 20 years later, this is the passing of the torch, so to speak. And Cody has backed himself up in the corner, has put a big red target on himself that he has to overcome an obstacle that only he put on himself. Let me face it. Randy didn't make this target. Randy didn't have it go this way. This is all Cody's doing. Cody's asked for this type of Randy Orton, and shall you receive at WrestleMania 42. I wish that this would have stayed on SmackDown because there were so many great things to see from Raw last night that you missed out on an opportunity for Cody and Stephanie to have this moment on the Brie brand trying to promote heading into WrestleMania. Otherwise, I thought this segment was great. The one thing I take pride in proclaiming is to see the WWE follow through the vision. Congratulations is in order to Austin Theory and Logan Paul, who defeated the Usos in a street fight to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. This was spite of LA Knight, who attempted to step in after Logan Paul's mother handed Logan brass knuckles to use during the match. LA Knight tries to stop it. Eye speed sensation Darren Watkins ends up punching LA Knight, knocking him out with the brass knuckles. LA Knight gets the brass knuckles, knocks out Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso ends up knocking out Jimmy Uso. Paul rolls Jay into the ring. Jimmy goes after Paul, and Austin Theory was able to pick up the victory. The Vision has gold, and I am excited to be able to talk about that because this is part of the success that the Vision needs to stay relevant as a faction. And then my other biggest takeaway was the announcement that was made yesterday about Seth Rollins being cleared to compete. Adam Pearce makes the announcement while Paul Heyman is standing in the ring. Seth Rollins comes into the ring and hits Paul Heyman with a chair, and then Gunther proceeds to come out of nowhere, puts Seth Rollins to sleep through a chokehold, and indicates that you are my WrestleMania match. All in doubt, Seth Rollins has a WrestleMania match. I felt like that build-up was going to be. It was just going to be. The question was with who? The build-up of Gunther coming out is what surprises me. So, it seems to me, and I was hanging on the possibility of somebody being able to return earlier than expected. But it comes to my knowledge that in confirmation, based off the actions last night on Raw, that Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are not clear to compete heading into WrestleMania. It's just not going to work. And so we are now making waves towards Plan B. Gunther is that option. It's going to be interesting to me to see how Gunther and Seth Rollins builds that feud, if it's with Paul Heyman in somebody's corner or whatever that storyline is projected to be, because Gunther, for one, has no affiliation with Paul Heyman. So does Paul work with Gunther? Because the target for Seth Rollins has been Paul Heyman. The second thing is that Gunther has been retiring people left and right. As a matter of fact, that's what he's known for here heading into 2026. He retires legends. And so does Gunther force Seth Rollins to put his career on the line, which then eggs the question of who walks away victorious? Because if the career is on the line of Seth Rollins and Gunther beats Seth Rollins, ending the career of Seth Rollins, is that where we are at? Because I feel like there are more dates for Seth Rollins in the ring. But if it doesn't and Seth Rollins wins, doesn't that devalue everything that Gunther has built over the last 6 months? So the more important question heading into Raw next week, and this is why we want to tune in, is to see what takes place and how they build this feud. Because to me, it seems like Gunther has to walk away with the victory. Paul Heyman has screwed over CM Punk, has screwed over Roman Reigns, and it's time for Paul Heyman to screw over Seth Rollins. In order to screw anybody over, it will be done at WrestleMania 42, which means that Paul Heyman would be a part of this match in some way, shape, or form. Which means that if Gunther goes on to win, you can't end the career of Seth Rollins, or unless we run it on some sort of gimmick which decredits Gunther and what he has done over the last 6 to 8 months in retiring talent, and find a way for if and when Seth Rollins comes back. You see the conundrum there? But with that being said, WrestleMania 42 has shapen up. We mentioned the handful of matches yesterday. The World Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. The Women's World Heavyweight Championship, Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Valkyrie. The WWE Championship, which according to my resources, is supposed to take place inside a Hell in a Cell. Maybe, maybe not. I really don't know. Randy Orton takes on Cody Rhodes. WWE Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill. WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship in a Sin City Street Fight, Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. United States Championship, Trick Williams, Sami Zayn. Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre in a sanction match. The Intercontinental Championship was announced as Penta takes on Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Rusev, and JD McDonough. I feel like we're missing one person. The Women's Tag Team Championships in a fatal four-way. Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair takes on the Bella Twins, takes on Nia Jax and Lash Legend, taking on Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. And then Seth Rollins taking on Gunther, and Dominic Mysterio taking on Finn Balor. Now, that is the WrestleMania match, series that I was exposed to. And I guess the only other thing was that Finn Balor goes on and says, I have to, I brought Dominic Mysterio in. I got to take him out. And that's going to be at WrestleMania. So, what do you guys think of WrestleMania? Are there any other matches that we're missing? I feel like we could add one or two more on the docket, but if that's it, that doesn't seem like a bad WrestleMania match card. I wanted to ask one question that I was writing down the list. I wrote down this question yesterday. Who benefits? Does it benefit Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre to be fighting in an unsanctioned match? And I was kind of arguing with myself when putting this together because I really wanted, and I still do believe that the WWE Championship should be on one of these two men. That WrestleMania would be elevated a little bit if one of these two men had the title with them, because it creates more of an importance of this title and the feud that is tied along with this. Here's what I do know. Both men are capable of taking it to the next level. And I hope that heading into WrestleMania, that next level is unrestricted. And I mean that there needs to be carnage that unfolds between Jacob and Drew at WrestleMania. I'm talking, you can't just take this, around the ring. You have to take this either up the ramp, backstage, out in the crowd. You have to take this to the level that you never took in this fight before. It's WrestleMania. All hell breaks loose. everything should be, it should be blood. It should be, let's remove the padding. You're hitting nothing but concrete. I want someone, not because I want them to get hurt, but someone needs to walk away with bruises that's going to last several weeks. That's how big this feud has unfolded. Okay. I don't think that there are any other two men, respectfully, other than Jacob and Drew, and this feud that we've seen carnage over the last couple weeks on SmackDown. I don't think there's any other two men that can make this happen, can take these things to the new heights, other than Jacob and Drew. The table's been set, okay? And if it's going to be on a night that doesn't include Oba and Brock, and I'm assuming Oba and Brock, I could even see that opening night 2. So in night 1, I want to see just complete chaos. Does that mean? Does that mean? And I don't know how the match cards are going to be set. What's on night 1? What's on night 2? But if I see Drew and Jacob on night 1, do you see Cody and Randy night 2 main event? I could see that. Does that mean Roman and Punk are main event night 1? And then Oba and Brock open up night 2? Or does Brock and Oba open up night 1 and it becomes a squash match, which I don't know about that, where maybe Oba wins? What are you guys thinking? How does WrestleMania 42 pan out? Something that, as we get closer, we want to think about. Does it make logical sense to put certain matches on night 1 compared to certain matches on night 2? I want to hear your opinion, but that is a conversation we can continue for this week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to apologize to everyone for not for having an hour delay. But please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, to this videos. Please be sure to follow us on our road to the show and our MLB franchise mode, where we play as the Cincinnati Reds throughout the 2026 season. Please sure to have the notifications on so you don't miss a single episode. We'll have the second episode of Road to the Show released on Thursday at 10 a.m. So if you guys are looking forward to something, have us on there at 10 a.m. Also, like and share us on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and also you can download us and take us on the road with you on a podcast by listening to Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If we're not on there, let us know and we will get on there. But we will be back again tomorrow. We'll talk some more Reds baseball. We'll give you some more sports update and some other news that's going around the sports world, and some extra WWE conversations as we continue. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.